Canterbury Trails Farm, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the American Legacy Quilt Frame. For Christmas last year, I got the quilt frame. Several over the years I've had, and they've gotten broken or parts have gotten lost or whatever, and I needed another big quilt frame, and that's because my daughter, over Thanksgiving holiday, her now fiance, asked her to marry him, and she said yes, and so yay. We're really happy to have him as a new addition to the family. And this quilt top was given to me over 20 years ago by my big kid's Nana, who was their great-grandmother. And this top was pieced by her mother, so my kid's great-great-grandmother. And I believe, and I wish I would have written this down, I thought I would always remember, but, you know, time and age take a toll there. I believe at the time when Nana gave it to me, over 20 years ago, that she said that her mother and her mother's mother worked on it together. It's all hand-pieced. The fabrics are 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. I think 30s and 40s for the most part. All hand-pieced. She asked me if I would quilt it for a wedding gift. My daughter, who at the time was just a baby, for her wedding gift, and she said, Nana always had a habit of just thinking this was the year, this was the year. She was getting her house in order because this was the year. Nana lived into her 90s. So she almost made it. She almost made it to that wedding, so I have been procrastinating for almost 23 years now to get this quilt quilted. So I got the frame and I got the quilt up on the frame. Not happy with this. This is an American Legacy Quilt Frame, and I hate it. Let me just put that out there. There is no way to control tension on this frame. Basically, you wind it up and it just hangs there. In the past, the ones I've had, there's usually like a canvas strip where you attach your quilt backing and your whole quilt and all that. You baste it to it, and then same thing on the other side. And then it's usually round, the ones I've had, and then you roll it, and there's wing nuts, and it holds it tight. And then one I even had, the sides also did that. So you had 4 points of tension. This one has nothing. You basically roll it up. There was nothing to attach it to on either end. You just have two square, I don't know, slats. They're not pegs. They're not round. There's nothing to attach them to, and there's no tension. It just sits in these two spots. I knew right away when I was unpacking it. I was like, what? Wait a minute. You know, it was something that didn't dawn on me when I bought it. I wasn't real happy with that. But I went ahead and put it together, hoping, you know, maybe I was missing something. But no, I got it all together, and there was no way to control tension. So I went online. I was like, okay, I know other women are having the same problem, and men maybe. And so what did they do? Well, so you see these are actually like for working on cars, I think. Anyway, I got them off of Amazon. They were cute because they had like hearts in them. So I don't know. Maybe they're not supposed to be hearts, but yeah, they look sort of girly. So hey, whatever. They're really hard on my hand when I'm trying to get them, so they are tight. So I rolled it as tight as I could on this back slat, and I stuck it in, and it was so tight that it kept wanting to pull out. There's nothing to keep these in. Let's see if I can show you. See, they're just like a slat there, so there's nothing that keeps them in there. So I attached one of the clips to that. I stretched the backing fabric and everything. I based, you know, you based your quilt and everything in your quilt top to the backing, so it's all basted. You can see the big red stitches, and usually you use red or pink or something that you can see that you can pull out easy afterward. So I did that, got it up on there, got it pinned, and that's how I'm going to have to control tension. It's going to be a real pain in the wazoo when I go to quilt it, and I should have started quilting. I was going to start the first week of January, but so it just hasn't happened yet, but I need to start. I got it all set up, and I have a rolling little stool that I use in here in my craft room, and I'm sort of excited to get it done. So the reason why I didn't get it quilted, I've been sewing doll clothes, and I had a big batch some to sell on eBay, some for myself. What I usually do, because I do a lot of, such as this dress here, which is a 1950s sort of evening dress with all these, let's see, beadwork on it. It's awesome, but it's going to be doll dresses. So when something like that, where it's not a rare piece, and I'm going to use it to make the doll dress that I make, it's actually going to be like an 1890s ball gown for my new Francois Gaultier reproduction French fashion doll. I'm sure I'll do another video on. Anyway, I bought it for that. But usually what happens is when I invest in something like that, I have enough for another dress. So I'll make the one for me, and then I'll use what I have left to make another fantastic creation, which then I'll sell. Usually doing that, I'm able to recoup the cost of the materials to make my own dress. So I learned to do that a long time ago. I gotta pay for my doll's wardrobe, so that's how I do it. But anyway, so I was doing that. I had a big pile of things. I do assembly lines, and I do French seams. So everything gets pinned and ironed and sewn, and then pinned and ironed and sewed. And so I can be working on like 25 different outfits at the same time. I'm just running them through in different stages. When I have a chance to sit down, I'll usually sew for about 2 hours. But so I only get a chance to sew maybe every other week, if I'm lucky. That it's, you know, they're ready and to go. And I was sewing, and I put the freak accident. Never done it before. I've sewn through, you know, like the dead skin on the ends of your finger. You know, you nick that with the thing. But somehow I was working on a taffeta, and it must have slipped. It happened so fast that my finger just went up, I guess, over the presser foot, and needle went through my middle finger. You see the little hole there. The rest of it is the surgical part. And the needle broke off through the fingernail in the dead center, like it just missed the bone of the tip of my finger. I went almost all the way through. It didn't go all the way through the pad of my finger. You could just see a little red polka dot. Which was like just like it almost broke, the tip of the needle almost came out my finger, but it didn't, and it broke off in there. The thread, it was because it was in the eye of the needle was in my finger, and so the thread was coming out of my fingernail. Oh, it was gruesome. But anyway, so they had to go through the pad of my finger to get the needle out, just like fish hooks and arrows, hunting 101. If you get a fish hook, don't ever try to yank it out the way it came in. Before you have to push it through the other side and clip off that some hook before you can rotate it back out. And same thing with arrow, you got to push it. You know, you've maybe seen old westerns. That isn't exaggeration. You got to push it through and chop off the end, and then pull it through. And you don't want to do that unless you're in somewhere where you can get. Don't ever pull it out unless you're already the ER. So. Anyway, so that was fun. So I've been letting that heal. It's just now getting better. So the review of the quilt frame is it goes together real easy. It's flimsy as crap. These things are like some kind of it's just a nut and bolt holding it together. There needs to be a port cross beam on that back, and there isn't. Basically, if you move it, these legs fold under. These legs go out. The whole thing is a rickety mess. I should have done what one of the guys on the review said. They bought it. It was such a hunk of crud that he made patterns off all the pieces, and he sent it back, and then he went and bought real wood, as he said, and made his wife a new one. So maybe that's a thought. But I really wanted to get this up. I have a year to get it quilted, and I don't have a lot of time. I do things, and I have so much going on. I have my eBay doll store. I have my YouTube channel. I have the house we're working on. I have my own, the real, quote unquote, real house or primary residence where we live. I have my daughter's homeschool. I have my son's world, you know, and so I have a lot of things going on. So. And I'm on my magazine writings. It's all time management. Time management. Anyway, so I wanted to give a quick review of this quilt frame. It isn't worth the money. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of quilt frames out there to choose from if you're on a budget. So I would say anything under $150 gets a little hard to find. I've done the big hoops. I've done the lap kind of things, and When I was younger, I had one that actually sat about 2 feet off the floor, and I just rotated around on the ground. Not that limber anymore. My joints aren't as good as they once were. So what I was able to do when I was younger is just more wear and tear on my body now that I'm in my 50s, and it just is harder to do the things I used to do. So I needed to get back to a table type frame, and unfortunately there's not a lot of good ones on the market that are affordable. This is what you're gonna have to do with it. So I bought C-clamps, and I wanted to see what worked better. I think because the C-clamps, the fabric was slipping. These, like, they're real. I don't want to undo it but they really are. I mean, they're for working on cars. They really hold. I'm really happy with the clips. I think item number. There's the item number. I don't know if that helps or not. But if you're in the same situation I am. Anyway, so that's the review of the American Legacy Quilt Frame. And that was from A. Edmonds. And it says full size, from full size 24 by 90 down to 24 by 45 baby quilt. I have it the full. It could go smaller. The reason why I have it out so much, it could probably go in about a foot. You see the bottom rails, they like stick out, and people kept running into them. So it was better for me just to do it this way. The one thing I will say that I do like, they're showing it flat, but I like it a lot of times. Some of these frames, the ones I've had in the past, some of them, they don't angle well. I like them at an angle, and you have to do it flat, and that's really sort of rough on the back. And these just have like these big knobs, so they're not like wing nuts as much as knobs. I hope that helps a little bit if you're thinking about getting the American Legacy Quilt Frame, and I think it was product 5560G. Like I said, you don't have a lot of options out there, so if you do have to end up with this one for your quilting frame, invest in these clippy thingies. Like I said, I got them on Amazon, and it will greatly help you. The plus is the angling, and it was easy to put together because it's very flimsy. What I might end up doing is getting another piece of lumber outside and putting it in the back as a cross support, just so it's not so flimsy. Maybe I'll update you once I start quilting, but I don't expect any, I've done on all kinds of different quilt frames, so I'm not expecting any surprises there. I was just struck by how poorly designed it was. Anyway, so this has been Canterbury Trails Farm with the review on the American Legacy Quilt Frame. Talk to you later. Bye.